Hey everybody, this is Mrs. McDonald, and I just wanted to provide you with a video of how to use the guide that you got for writing your 3 papers for this class, and I also wanted to show you how to navigate through Microsoft Word so that you can set up the template correctly, and this way you don't lose any points on this paper that we can prevent. So, this is the document that you were given that Mr. Hatzel wrote for you. I just want to shut something off here real quick. Okay. So this was the packet that you got, and it's like 36 pages. So what most of you do is get the packet, you put it in a folder, and then homework starts and reading starts, and you don't look at this again. So hopefully maybe you'll listen to this, because when you don't look at this, and then you get points taken off on your paper, and a teacher says, well, you had everything to begin with, this is what we're talking about. So when you're in school and you get any kind of handouts or paperwork or anything, the syllabus, make sure you look through it, especially if we tell you it's going to be important, because it's going to have a lot of information in it you're going to need. And if you feel lost, come and find one of us, myself included. So, yeah, okay, table of contents, nice little smiley face, that's wonderful. No offense, Mr. Hastel. Okay, so the first thing that's in here, it talks about that your papers have to be cited. So for this class, you're going to be writing 3 papers, 2 of which you have to use citations for, and usually that scares people. So I'm going to come back to that in a little bit and explain the citations and the plagiarism and all of that, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So we're going to skip over this just for a minute, but I'm only on page, I don't know, I'm only on page 4. So this is right there, and this is a big deal. If you don't cite properly, so basically if you don't give people credit for work that's not yours, and if you don't format these things the right way, it's considered plagiarism. And plagiarism is a huge deal in any school that usually results in an automatic 0 on an assignment. This is something that I want to help prevent, which is why I'm taking the time to make this video for you. So hopefully you're not fast forwarding through me yet, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so this is the list of your assignments. Please disregard the due dates that are in bold here, because these are going to change. I'm doing this video in 2016, so these dates already are old. But you will need citations for Part 1 and Part 3. Part 2 is a bit more personal. So you don't need citations. However, you have to be really careful with Part 2, because even though Part 2 is about you, you still cannot, okay, and I can't type right now, you cannot use I, me, we, you. These things are called personal pronouns. Personal pronouns are words that talk about you. So, for Part 2, where you're talking about yourself, anytime you talk about yourself, you have to do it in what's called third person. So anytime you want to say I, fight the urge and change it to this student, this medical assistant. Well, no, you're not a medical assistant yet. This student, this person, anything like that. This girl, this man. That's how you're going to refer to yourself instead of saying I, me, we, you, us. So these are big no-nos. I'm trying to put this in caps, I swear. Okay, so Part 1 is asking you to do some research on a job that you eventually want to get, and to research that job and explain what things are needed to be able to do that job. So if you want to eventually become a physician's assistant, What skills do you need? What do you need to be good at? Do you need to be able to speak English? Do you need to be able to type? Do you need to be able to make a phone call? What education do you have to go through? So what kind of schooling? Is there any kind of special training you have to go through, like getting certificates or anything like that? And what certificates do you need? So 2 pages means to the bottom of the second page. It does not mean, hey, I hit the top of the first page, or the top of the second page, I'm done. Nope, you will lose points. So part 2 is connected to part 1. So for the second paper, if you're interested in being a physician assistant, what are the things that you need to do, both in your own life, academically, in school, so in this class, what are things that you need to do to be able to become that job? So if you want to become a physician's assistant, for example, and how does this program fit into that plan? So if you're here to be a medical assistant, is that going to help you on your way to being a physician assistant? If you're here for EFTA, is that going to help you? How so or how not? So how does being enrolled here help you out? It is also asking, how does this particular class help give you tools that you need to succeed to eventually get to that long-term goal you have? Then it also asks you how you plan to balance your life. So you're probably already struggling with that a little bit. Oh my gosh, I have 2 classes, I have all this homework, I have kids to feed, I have jobs to go to, I have bills to pay, how do I juggle it all? This final question is asking for your plan of how you intend to balance all of it to be able to achieve your goal. So then this final one, this one is looking for a chart. So you are not writing a paper on this one. This one, you are making a chart, which I'll show you how to do. You're going to find laws. So this is legislation. Legislation is a fancy word for laws that have been passed that somehow impact the profession. So, for example, for anything in medicine, there is a legislation, there is a law called HIPAA, where we cannot violate someone's privacy. That is a piece of legislation. I'm choosing HIPAA as the example because you are not allowed to use HIPAA in this assignment. Okay, so that's just a brief thing with that. Page 6 shows you how to set up the Word document, and this is what I want to take you through. We've already talked about this part where I drew the bubble earlier and I wasn't able to type properly. So here's your font size. Here's what font you need to use. It needs to be double-spaced, 1-inch margins with your name and page number in the upper right corner. So what I want to do is show you how to do that. On the next page of your packet, there's actually an example for you. So that's what I'm going to take you through. And you can see little comments here that Mr. Hatzel made for you. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open a new Word document. And the first things that we need to do are set the font and the font size. So if you remember from the other document, it needs to be Times New Roman. So we can click on this drop down. And all the fonts are in alphabetical order. These are ones that you use the most. If you don't have this and you just have a list of all fonts, you can either scroll all the way down to the T's, or right up here where it's in blue, you can start to type Times New Roman, and it finds it for you automatically. So we're going to click on that. The next thing we want to do is make this 12-point font. So you can either click this drop down and choose the number, or you have these 2 little buttons. This one with the up arrow increases the font size, and this one with the bottom arrow lowers the font size. So if I click on this right now, that number is going to change to 10. Ta-da! So I'm going to click on this one, it's going to go back to 11. But we want 12-point. It doesn't matter how you get to this as long as you get to this. So that's the first thing that we need to do. The second thing that we need to do is put your last name and the page number in the upper left corner. This is the part that is going to be a little bit difficult, which is why I wanted to walk you through this. So, see, this is a cursor, and see where it's blinking? What we're going to do is we're going to double click above that, and a dotted line will show up. So if you're looking at this, you are right on the right track so far. You're going to use your tab key. So this is right above your caps lock, or it's to the left of the letter Q if you're not used to it. And when I hit this, the cursor is going to move all the way over here. And that's where you want it, is on the other side of the page. So I just hit it twice. So my last name is MacDonald. So I'm going to write my last name. And I'm going to put a comma because that's what the packet is showing me to do here. Now, the next thing that you want to do is hit the space bar. And you want Microsoft Word to count the pages for you. This way you don't have to keep doing this. So here's where a little fancy stuff comes in. With that cursor blinking right there, you're going to go up to page number. And because this has a little arrow next to it, it means that you have a bunch of options. So when you click on this, the cursor is already where we want to put the page number. So we're going to pick current position. And when I just roll my cursor over this, here's another bunch of options, but don't worry, because we're going to pick the very first one, which is plain number. Now, if you happen to be using a Mac, for some reason you have all of these same options, they just might not be located in the same exact place I'm showing you. But plain number should still be your first selection. Now, I didn't click on this yet, I just have my mouse on it. As soon as I click on it, a number 1 will pop in over here and all this stuff will disappear. And that's exactly what you want to have happen. So I'm just going to take you through that one more time. I'm going to erase the number 1. We're going to go to page number, current position, because we already have the cursor where we want it, plain number, click it. That's what we need to do. Now you're going to see this dotted line? You're going to put your mouse or your little arrow anywhere below this dotted line, and you're going to double click. And it goes away. The next thing that we need to do is we need to set the margins to make sure that we have 1-inch margins. So you should be able to see your ruler up here. If you can't, if it's not there, you want to go up to the View tab and you want to check this box that says ruler. So if I uncheck it, the ruler will go away, and this might be what your page looks like. So if that's the case, then you just want to click right in this box to make sure that it shows up. Okay, so you then want to take your arrow, take your mouse, and see this gray area? This is our margin. So the margin is the part of the paper that stays white where we don't put any text and we don't type at all. So there are some students who, if you make your margins too big, so your text starts here and it ends here, well, yeah, then you're going to hit 2 pages pretty quickly. So that's why we need to tell you what font size, what font, and that it's going to be 1-inch margins. So this way you can't, use like 26-point font and be like, see, look, I hit 2 pages in 3 sentences. So which I've had students do. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll up here into either this gray spot or this gray spot, and you're going to double click quickly, and this window will pop up and it's okay. We are concerned with top, left, bottom, and right. You do not have to worry about anything down here that says gutter, and you don't need to worry about anything below this. So what you need to do is make sure that top, left, bottom, and right all say 1. And mine already do, because this is my personal computer. So what I did is I clicked Set as Default. So this means every single time I open a document in Microsoft Word, it's automatic that the margins are going to be at 1 inch. So I don't have to do this step every single time. So you have the choice. You can hit set as default, or you could just hit OK, either one. If you hit set as default, you'll probably get a window that says just for this document or for all documents, and that's your choice. The all documents it applies to any document you will ever open ever again in Microsoft Word, but I'm just going to hit OK for now. So nothing changed because my margins were already correct. So now don't freak out, but what I'm going to do is a split screen with this that we're working on and Mr. Hatzel's packet. So this way you can see what he wants and how you're going to format this. So we need to write our name, well, your name, the name of the class, the name of your teacher, and then the date that it's due in this format. So your name, and I have this zoomed in a little bit. So if when you're typing this, it looks a little smaller, like that, don't panic. I just have this zoomed in a little bit closer so you can see your name. And then we're going to, hang on a second. Don't pay attention to this for a minute. My default kicked in. You know what? No, I'm going to leave it there. Okay. We're going to do AHP 101. Make sure you put a space between the letters and the numbers because that's what Mr. Hatzel did. See, I'm right here on this second line. And then here will be the name of your teacher. So if it's not Mr. Hatzel, it might be me, it might be Miss Maloney, it might be somebody else. So Miss or Mr. Teacher's last name. I hope you get the point with that. And then it'll be the date due. So I'm going to put today's date for now just so that you can see the pattern of how it should be. So you want to use these numbers. If you don't know where I'm getting these things from, that's called a backslash. If you look on your number pad to the right of the keyboard, it's right above the number 8. If you don't have a number pad on the right of your keyboard, this is also right to the left of the shift button near the arrows. And that should help you out. So it's right underneath the question mark, not on the other side. So it's to the right of the keyboard. Okay. Now one thing though, he says enter your name and text here should all be single spaced. Okay, so how do we check that? So let's highlight this. So to do that, what I'm doing is I'm putting my cursor at the end, I'm clicking down and I'm holding, and I'm sliding my mouse to do the whole thing. If you want the keyboard shortcut, it's Control-A to select all. Because this isn't single spaced, there's a little bit of a gap in between there. So this is going to let us do our line spacing. So we want to pick 1.0 because that means single. And down here where it says add and remove, this means is Microsoft Word going to single space and then add an extra space before and after each paragraph? So if you have one of these options that says remove, you need to click on it. See how this scrunched together? So when you drop this back down again, you want both of these bottom spots to say add. I know it's a little confusing, but I guess you could rewind me if you need to. So then let's see what he tells us to do next. So then we are going to center our creative title after hitting enter twice following the date. Okay. So we're going to hit enter twice. And now we need to center our title, which means we need to move our cursor all the way to the middle. So to do that, we need to go up here, and I'm still in the Home tab, and click on this button. When you hover over these options, it also tells you what they do. So it's kind of a little cheat sheet. So as soon as I click on this, that cursor is going to jump to the middle. Okay. There's still one more thing that we need to do, though, because now after this title, we need to double space according to this writing packet you've been given. So to do that, we're going to go back up to line spacing, and this time we're going to hit 2.0. So when I hit enter, you're going to see this space in between this line and the title. So now it's double spaced, and you can confirm that because when you click on this again, the check mark is next to the 2.0. But I can't write my introduction in the center of the page, so I need to click on this called align left so that the words move all the way over to the left. So you notice I only hit enter once. You do not have to hit enter again. You do need to hit the tab key. I'm going to get rid of this other stuff. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. I'm sorry, gang. Okay, so your first paragraph is going to be your introduction. And a lot of students, when you start working in Microsoft Word, some might have a tendency to start the paragraph back here. You don't want to do that. You want to hit the tab key, which again is above the caps lock and to the left of the Q, so that this way it does this indent. So it shows your reader where one paragraph stops and where the next one starts. So this is a lot easier to notice than if I did this. This is harder for the reader to look at. So then when you finish one paragraph and you're going to move to the next one, you only hit enter once like I did here. Because if you hit enter twice, now what you're really doing is putting 4 spaces, or you're quadruple spacing the paper. And that is not how you meet your page limit. So you only hit enter once, otherwise it makes too big of a gap. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter until I start a new page, because I want you to see how this will count up for you. La 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 la, look how fabulous, all this information I wrote. And see, now here's my last name and it's counting the page number for me. So that means a 2-page paper, whoops, stops here. This is 2 pages. This is a page and a half. So just because you've hit the second page does not mean it's a 2-page paper. And I hope you're giggling because I know so many students who do that. So that's why I wanted to reiterate that and repeat that. So you know you've got to go all the way back to the bottom of this second page. So this is in here for your packet so you can follow it, but I wanted to show you how Microsoft Word does this for you. Now the thing is that for papers 1 and 2, this is what it needs to look like. So if you've never worked with Microsoft Word before, what we're going to do is we're going to save this. So we're going to go to File, Save As, and here's the important part. you want to make sure you're saving this to a place that you know where it's going. So if you have a flash drive, that would be fantastic. But for now, let's save this to the desktop. And let's pretend that this is paper 1. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to save this. Nothing changed here, but when I shrink everything and I go to my desktop, here's my paper. And this is how I can print it out. This is how I can attach it to an email or do anything I need to do with it. When I have to work on paper 2, all I need to do is change my date. So maybe paper 2 is going to be due on the 26th, and I erase the information that was there, and now I can start paper 2's introduction here. But look, this still says it's paper 1. So we're going to go back to File. We're going to go back to Save As. We are going to find a place. So I'm going to put it on the desktop again. But now I'm going to change it to paper 2. So as soon as I hit Save and I go to my desktop, here's one paper and here's the other paper. So you can format the document once and then keep reusing it, is the point that I'm trying to make for you. Okay, so let's talk about paper 3, because he gave us details about what we're doing. So paper 3 is a table. This is the one where you have to pick 3 healthcare-based laws. It does say in the packet you are not allowed to use HIPAA. This is going to be 1 to 2 pages long. This will also need citations. But earlier, I know, I'm sorry, hang on, okay, part 3. This is going to be 4 columns. So columns are the ones that go up and down, and rows are the ones that go left to right. So we need 1 column for the name of the legislation. We need 1 column for the description, and we need 1 column for the chosen profession. And we're doing this for how many laws? I know you can't answer me. Okay, well, if you don't know, then let's scroll down and find out. So let's scroll down to where the third one's done. 3 healthcare laws. Okay, so that means we need 3 columns and 3 rows. 4 rows, because we're going to be talking about something, because then the 4th row is going to be where we put the titles. Okay, so all of this is going to stay the same. Let me show you how to insert a table. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see how I'm going to do this. So we're going to go up to the Insert tab, and look, right below that is Table, and we're going to click on this. Now don't get scared by these boxes, because once you pick these boxes, we can still manipulate it however we want. So we need 3 things going across, and then we need 3 laws. But then we also need 1 more row so that this top row can tell us what's in the column. So this is how you do this, and you just pick your boxes. Okay, so now let's go back to that paper and see what 1 column is going to be for this, 1 column is going to be for that, 1 column is going to be for this. So column 1 is the name of the legislation. So when we go back to the grid, we're going to click in here, see my cursor's blinking, name of legislation. And I want this to stand out. So see how I just got an arrow? I'm going to select this whole row and I'm going to center it. And I'm going to make it bold. I don't know if it doesn't say whether to do that or not, but I want it to stand out. So column 2 is the provisions of the legislation. So that's what we're going to call it, provisions of legislation. Now, as you type in here, if you type a lot of stuff, see, the box is going to get bigger as you keep going. So you don't have to worry about the fact that this box is pretty small right now. But as you write sentences, you need to add a citation. That's the big thing with this. That's different from assignment 2. And these citations need to be done correctly. Okay, so then column 3, according to our guide, lists the impacts of this legislation on their chosen profession. So let's go back here. Impacts on profession. And all of this needs to be cited. So this is how you do the table for assignment 3. And we can go to File, Save As. You should save as you go, because sometimes you never know when your computer is going to, lose battery or something like that. So you want to continue to hit save. The shortcut for that is Control-S if you like shortcuts. So I can just do AHP paper 3 and hit save. And when I show you again, there it is on the desktop, so I know where it is to email it or print it or save it to my flash drive or anything like that. You don't need to see those. Okay. So, let's say I write something new, or the whole thing's just going to disappear on me for some reason. Oh no, the whole thing shut down. What am I going to do? Well, lucky for me, I just saved it. So I'm going to open the file. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I hit. I just did this stuff. I probably hit a shortcut I did not know existed. So now I want to make sure I save that. You again can either use the shortcut of holding down the control button with the S, or you could go to File, Save. I was always told every time you write a paragraph, hit save. Because look what just happened to me, and I totally did not plan that, I swear. But the document closed on me. So what if I had not hit save and I lost that whole thing and I had to start all over again and I was just about finished? It would have sucked. Okay, so that's your formatting and things like that. Now, I've talked about personal pronouns. I want to take you just a little bit. I'm going to zoom out of this a smidge. We looked at these figures. What you have also in here is some suggestions on how to write, on how to tackle some difficult parts of the paper, how to brainstorm, how to outline. You should really thank Mr. Hatzel because he took a lot of time to put this together for you so that you would know how to put this together. So here he explains the introduction for you. He talks about thesis statements. So if you don't know how to write parts of this, he explains it in here, and it's great because he does it in a way that actually makes sense instead of like a textbook. But if you are still struggling, you need to make sure that you tell one of us. You are never a bother at all. But if you wait until after the paper is turned in and after the paper is graded and then you tell us what you were struggling with, there's not much help we can give you after the fact. So the more that you tell us that you're struggling prior to, the more help that we can give you. So here he talks about how to do body paragraphs and transitions, which is basically how to segue or move from one thing to another, and your conclusion. And then here are some helpful hints that you can read yourself. Basically, these are helpful hints because of people who have done things wrong before. We talked about several of these. And then this is fantastic. This is a checklist for your paper. So what you should do is you should go through this and look at your paper and go, okay, is my title engaging and reflects what my paper actually talks about? If you check no, then you need to fix it before you submit it. Oops, sorry. So this is in here to help you out. I'm down on page 19. If you've had this packet for a while and you're just looking at this video, you're probably like, oh my God, I didn't even know that was there, because you didn't look through it. Okay, finding sources we're going to come back to. Here's an example that he made for you of the third paper. Though column 4 wasn't asked for, so you might have to clarify that. But notice he has those bullet pointed. It's the same format that we were doing. Here's where it says you are not allowed to use HIPAA as legislation in your papers. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that, because if you do paper 3 and you put HIPAA in there, it's going to get marked wrong. And when the teacher says, "Did you read your packet?" this is what they're talking about. All right, sources, sources, sources. All the way down at the end of this, here are examples that Mr. Hatzel has given you, including some citations, so that you could see what they look like, and included works cited. So that's what I want to talk about next, is this citation part. And I know that, where are we at? Oh, we're at 36 minutes. I know this is getting probably a little daunting, and a little annoying, but hey, the thing with the video is you could pause me, you could fast forward me, or not watch me at all. Whatever. If you did not look at the welcome message that I sent, this is me. Hi. I can't turn the camera on myself or I have to stop the video. But hi. That's what I look like. So if you see me floating around, feel free to say hi and stop me. Okay. So you have to use what are called reliable sources in your paper. So reliable sources, and I'm back to page 20 on his guide. Reliable sources are ones that you know that you can trust, and the information is correct. If you don't use a trustworthy source, you run the risk of giving your reader the wrong information, and that's called a fact error, and that is a big, big problem. So, if you're looking at websites, the best thing to do is look at the web extension. So it's the www.blank. That thing at the end, that's your web extension. So .edus, .govs, .orgs are things that you can use. .coms are okay to use as long as it would be relevant. So if you're doing something on comparing string floss, or electric toothbrushes to manual toothbrushes. If you go to Colgate's website, Colgate is a .com, but they're a pretty trusted name in dentistry, so I would trust that. If the Washington Post or the New York Times, these are probably magazines you've heard of. Time magazine, I think I just said that. It's been a long day. If you go to their websites, those are .coms, but they're still trustworthy. So if you find a .com and you're not sure if it's trustworthy or not, double check with a teacher. Okay, so Wikipedia, you are not allowed to use. This is everywhere in this packet, and Wikipedia is not credible to be cited in a paper because it has an edit button, which means anybody can go in there and change the information. Wikipedia is a great place to start, but then the websites that you actually use for your paper are going to come from here somehow. So you can either, and he'll probably laugh at me, but I do disagree with him on this one. You can either use these citation generators. So if you go to these websites, you can actually punch in the information they ask you for, and they write the citation for you, and then you can copy and paste it. I'm old school writing teacher. I'm not a fan of that. But he says it's okay, so that works. But I want to show you how this is going to be applied in your paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to a fresh page, no matter where you've stopped. We are going to center, and because, that didn't look centered. Yeah, it wasn't. Okay, so because we're in MLA style, this thing is called a Works Cited page. And in the most recent edition, it is not underlined, it is not bold, nothing. And we're still keeping this double spaced. So you're going to hit enter. A Works Cited page is going to be alphabetized, It is not going to be numbered. It is not going to be bullet pointed or anything like that. So it's alphabetized by the first word. So I'm going to align left again. And there's two different ways to do this depending on if you have an author or if you don't. If you have a website and you don't have an author, that is usually completely normal, especially for websites like Mayo Clinic, National Institutes of Health, Colgate.com. There are so many websites that don't have authors, and that's okay. So I just wanted to show you how to do this if you have an author or if you don't. So you would do authors. Oh my goodness, seriously? Author's last name, comma, then their first name. If there's only one author, fabulous, you're done. You're going to put a period in there because punctuation is important. So if you look at the study guide that he gave you, look at all this different punctuation. It's like really scary and holy moly. But what I'm doing, so if we look at this one, what I'm doing is taking this and telling you what the elements are. That's basically all I'm doing here. So we're going to hit the space bar, quotation mark, name, title of article in quotation marks, period, quotation. So the title of the article is usually the thing that's right above all the words. Then we're going to hit the space bar and we're going to turn on our italics. So you can either hit the letter I or there's the shortcut Control I. Then this is the name of the website, period. But then it becomes, what the heck is the name of the website? Well, I'm going to show you that in a minute. Anything, and then in MLA style, you have to put what's called the medium of how you found this thing. So that's what this is. Anything that you have to use the computer to get to is going to be web. If you're physically holding your textbook, let's say, like down here, then it would be print. But let's say you found an article on the internet and then you printed it out, so you're holding the article. Well, you still had to use the internet to find it. So this will always either be web or print. And for you guys, I mean, I'm going to be honest, you guys always usually use the internet more so than books or magazines or things like that. So more often than not, you're going to be web. Okay, I'm going to go back to our other sample. So name of website, publisher of website, comma, date it was published, and we're going to put a period, and then I'm going to write medium. So that means either web or print, so I think I'll just write web, print. Okay, and then we need to indent that second line. This thing is called a hanging indent because then when we hit enter and we do our next one, it's easy to distinguish where one citation ends and one begins. So let me pull up a website and show you what the heck I'm talking about. Hopefully we'll pull up a website that has an author. And we can go from there. So apparently I'm hung up on being a physician assistant. Oh, physician assistant board laws regulations. Oh, it's a PDF. Okay, that's a little bit above. Okay, here we go. Let's pick this one. Please have an author. Please have an author. Hang on, I'm scrolling just to find stuff, and then I'll show you what I find. Of course, it has no author. Okay, so we're still going to use this website, but we're going to wait for a minute. MakeMeBabies.com. Holy goodness. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at a .com. I've never heard of Gap Medics, so I don't know if I can trust that. But this is the University of Washington. I think I can trust that, so I'm going to click on that. And hope I have an author for this one too. Ooh, come on. So look at how common this is to not have a human who's taking credit for this. Which is really frustrating because I didn't exactly anticipate running into this type of hiccup. I should have done. Oh, good, I have a human. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, so I want to show you how to write the citation for this without all this crap popping up. Okay, so here's our website. So let's say you took information from this chart, which actually is a great chart as a source. You're going to put all of this information in your own words. You are not copying and pasting. You are not taking it word for word. You have to put this stuff in your own words. And you still have to put a citation after it because you did not know these facts all by yourself. That's the point behind this. So let's follow the pattern. So if we look at the pattern, we need the author's last name and first name. Stephen Pasquini. So now this is his credential. In MLA style, you don't include that. So if this was MD or DDS or DMD or anything like that, we get rid of that. So we're just going to use the Pasquini Stephen. And I'm going to put it down here under the example so you can see how I'm doing this. Pasquini Stephen. Okay. So now we have to do quotation marks. So the title of our article. So remember I said the title of the article is usually the thing that's above the words. So here's the words. Here's the stuff above it. So this is our title. Physician assistant versus nurse practitioner versus medical doctor. Oi, oi, oi. Okay. See how much of that I can remember. Physician assistant versus nurse practitioner versus, I think it was medical doctor. Let's hope I'm right. Yeah, okay, good. So now the next thing in our pattern is the name of the website and the publisher of the website. And this is usually where people get tripped up. So the name of the website is usually the logo at the top of the web page, either on the left, the right, or the middle. And we're going to put that in italics because that's what MLA says that we have to do. So here's our web page. What do you think our website name is? It's the logo at the top that's either on the left, the right, or the middle. So hopefully you're yelling or picking this one because that's what it is, the Physician Assistant Life. And that's what we're going to type. And it's in italics. Is that what it was? Physician Assistant Life? Yeah, okay. Okay, now we need the publisher. And this is confusing. So I shut off the italics. We're going back to regular type. When we come over here, the publisher is the group or the organization that made this website or made it possible. So here's a quick way to find it. We're going to go down all the way to the bottom of the web page that nobody ever looks at. And we're going to hope to find a C in a circle somewhere. And of course I have one where I don't have one. It's just fabulous. Okay, so sometimes we come down here, there's no C in a circle. Right? You're not seeing one, I'm not seeing one. So let's go to the home page. Let's see if that gives us something. That's the next thing to do when you're stuck. Oh, goodness gracious. Can't I? I hope you could tell I'm doing this on the fly because I wasn't expecting to get stuck. So this is the home page. Let's see if maybe this will help us out too. I'm having a bad feeling that it probably won't. No. Okay. So let's look at, sometimes when you can't find it down here, we have to look at these things nobody ever looks at, like terms and conditions, or it might actually flat out say copyright. Okay, so this is the publisher, because these are the people who provide the website. So that's, I know this took a little extra work. That's what we're going to put down as the name of our publisher, PA Life LLC. And it is very common, and I'm just keeping it all caps because they did. Sometimes it's very, very common for this to be the same as the website name. If it is, you still have to write it twice. So then we do the date that it was published. Now, we didn't have a specific date there, so we could use a regular copyright date. So I'm going to scroll through and see if the word copyright stands out anywhere. Which, of course, it probably won't, given how, oh, there's copyright, but not the date. Oh, copyright! This is what we were hoping to find at the bottom of the page. So here we just have a year, so that's fine. 2016. If you don't have a specific date for the specific article, you could use the copyright of the whole page. So now we did this online, so this is web, and then the date accessed. We're going to write this date first, month second, year third. So today is the 19th of October 2016. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to indent. The only thing that changes if you don't have an author to this pattern, so all I'm going to do is copy and paste this for a second. And I'm going to do it a little lower because I want to show you how to do the internal citation. The only thing that changes to this pattern is that you start there. So if you don't have an author in MLA style, you skip it. So I already found that other web page that didn't have an author. So we're going to, oh no, not this one. This was the horrible one. Goodness gracious. Okay, this is the one. So we took information because we wanted to look at PA regulations. I don't care about osteopathic medicine. So we start with the title. Here's the title. Now the thing with MLA is that anytime you click on a link and it takes you to another page, so if I click on this and it takes me to another page, this is now going to be a separate source on your Works Cited page because it's a separate article. So here's our title, Summary of PA Regulations. There's a reason I'm doing this, I promise you. So then we do the name of the website in italics. So what was the name of our website? It's going to be the logo at the top. Pennsylvania Society of Physician Assistants. And students also always ask me, can I abbreviate it or do I have to write it out? This one really is your choice. For now, for the sake of time, I'm going to abbreviate it. PSPA in italics, period. Then we got to find the publisher. So we have to find the group or organization that makes this website possible. So we're going to scroll all the way down and cross our fingers again. And hey, look, here's a C in a circle, here's a date, and it's the Pennsylvania Society of Physician Assistants. So it is the same exact thing, and that's okay. So now we're going to write it twice. Once it's in italics, and the second time it's not. And this time I'm not going to abbreviate it because they didn't. Okay, so now we do a comma, and that copyright date was 2016. We found this on a website, And then we have to do our access date, which is when we looked it up, which was right now. So 19 October 2016, not 2006, okay. And I need to indent it. So that's the only difference. So this is what a works cited page would look like, except for these big gaps. So if we pretend that these patterns are other citations, this is what it would look like, but it would be in alphabetical order, which ironically I already put in alphabetical order. So A, P, T, whoop, S, it's not in alphabetical order. We would have to flip-flop the last two so that they're in alphabetical order. But I'm going to separate them again, because now you have to do something called internal citations. For each one of these that are on your works cited page, you have to have a shorter version of this in your paper after each one of your sentences to show exactly where you got the information from. So when you have a person, so I'm going to put the well, wait, I guess I'll do it this way. And these don't go on the works cited page. I just wanted to show you what they look like with each of these. So when you have an author, you do author's last name only, no comma, and then you do a page number. Now, we found this off a website. So we're going to do Pasquini 1. Since you found it on a web page, we're going to consider it always page 1. If you happen to find a PDF or something like that that gives you a page number, or you use a textbook that gives you a page number, then you would use like page 257 or something like that. So you would write your sentence. I'm making this up. So a PA is different from a medical doctor in that they cannot perform surgeries. I didn't know that all by myself. I had to go look at this source to find it out. So I put this at the end with my period after it. Okay. For this one, this is just a little different. If we don't have a person, what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these words from the title that stands out and isn't duplicated in any of the other titles that don't have authors, and we're going to put it in quotation words or in quotation marks. This thing is called a keyword. So right now this one has an author, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to care about what words are in here. So I'm going to pick the word regulations and hope that if I do use any other source, regulations isn't there. And it's the same thing where I do a page number. So I'm making this up. Okay, so let's pretend I went on this website and I found a PA regulation is the Hippocratic Oath, which is the vow that all the doctors take to do no harm, blah, blah, blah. So here's my fact. It's in my own words, and then I put my citation at the end of it. Then I'm going to write another sentence, and it's from the same exact source. So again, I put this right after it. So you could have, these go after every single sentence. You need at least one internal citation for every source you have on your works cited page. This might be the only source you use, so every single sentence is going to have one of these after it, except for your intro and your conclusion, and that's totally okay. I really hope that this helped. If you don't understand citations, that's okay. They're really difficult to grasp quickly. I know that Mr. Hatzel gave you some of those websites that help you out. He didn't do his hanging indents here. So these are some websites that can help you out. But newer versions of Microsoft Word, also you can click on the References tab, and it will help you write your citation. So your style would be MLA. See, there's a ton of these, and sometimes it gets scary. And then you would do Insert Citation, Add New Source, and this area can help you also write the citations. Okay, so I wanted to take you through the packet. We covered the packet, what the assignments are about, how to format Microsoft Word, how to format a table, and what all of this plagiarism and all that stuff is all about. So I hope that this is helpful in addition to the big packet that you have. So between this packet and between this video, if you don't ask for help and you are still getting things wrong, you now have no excuse, because I have even walked you through it for the last hour and 1 minute. And I'm sorry it took so long, but I really hope that you got something from it. And again, if you need me, if you have any questions, if you want to set up a tutoring session with me, I'm Mrs. MacDonald. I'll zoom this in. And this is my email, kmacdonald@fortisinstitute.edu. And what you could do is you can send me an email and let me know you're having trouble or what you want to go over, and you and I can arrange a day and a time that works, and we can meet to work on this. You also have your instructor, and you have Mr. Hatzel to help you as well. All of us are here to help. So if you don't, but we're not mind readers. So if you don't take advantage of it, that's what could be the problem, because we don't know if you need help unless you tell us you need help. So I hope this helped. Sorry if you were bored, but oh well, tough noogies, you needed to know this. Have a good night. Bye.